Thank you everyone for being here. My talk is Reimagining Access, Energy for Whom and by Whom. So energy, like all of you know, like food and water, is the foundation of life. It has the power to reshape society. Today, electricity is a necessity for accessing basic services like the internet and healthcare. I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, where the cultural and economic landscape has been thoroughly shaped by the dim reality of electricity poverty. In Lagos, generator mechanics are highly revered because their services, their innovation, and their expertise are like water in an arid desert. When there is no power in Lagos, which is usually the case, neighborhoods have to operate in hibernation mode. Families cope on kerosene lanterns, noisy diesel generators, and plenty of lighthearted humor, even as they struggle through heat exhaustion, inadequate smoke ventilation, and other fire hazards. Power finally resurging through the local grid is always met with applause and shrieks of delight from everyone. The entire neighborhood starts buzzing with activities. People start ironing their clothes and charging their phones, and they have to quickly do this before the power goes out again. All Nigerians are spending their lives today in this crippling economic condition. With no feasible renovation plan on the horizon, there is no light at the end of the tunnel for Nigerians. I found my own light in the form of a privileged U.S. college education. Now, in my home in the Bay Area, my family does not have to struggle every night with a generator. But I noticed that even with a grid reliability that would make any Nigerian's eyes light up with delight, I see that there are rooftop solar home systems all over California, and this is rapidly becoming the norm. Sadly, though, for Nigerians, this type of self-reliance for electricity is not an option, it is a necessity. But this necessity is driving innovation in Nigeria. So, you might wonder, why is Nigeria struggling in the dark? It's a very complex question, but one simple answer is that Nigeria, despite having an abundance of energy sources, both conventional fossil fuels and renewables, lacks the infrastructural capacity to generate enough power. Nigeria only has 5 gigawatts of generation capacity for about 200 million people. Imagine this. That means that an average Nigerian has to cope with only 25 watts of nameplate capacity. And this is incomparable to the 2,000 watts that the average Californian like me has today. But you might be wondering, why am I making comparisons between California and Lagos, Nigeria? It doesn't seem to make any sense. Well, the idea that I have for my research is to examine what the similarities are in seemingly very different places. And it is in this comparison that I hope to innovate and change the narrative, reframe the narrative on energy access. Like all of you in this room today, you believe that the journey to a definite solution on energy poverty begins by asking the right question. For me, one exciting question is this: why are Lagosians and Californians, in the face of numerous disparities, completely different lives, both working autonomously to meet their energy demands? Despite having very different social, political, and cultural incentives and variables, families across these two regions are making the same decisions and innovating within their own means to supply their energy. I searched through the literature, and I discovered that the answer to this question is in the pursuit of energy sovereignty. Energy sovereignty is the ability of people to make energy planning decisions. It's giving people the capacity to have energy choices. And I have found through not just these comparisons, but by looking through the literature, that energy sovereignty transcends geography and culture. Hence, the energy not just for whom, but by whom. Sovereignty elicits a very strong reaction in people because it's a very political word. But I'm trying to bring this discourse into energy access. And I'm proposing that energy sovereignty will transform individuals, households, and communities from mere consumers to planners and producers. This matters because up until now, like we've learned in this workshop, energy has been generated and distributed solely by state and private utilities. Their dominance has been maintained and further consolidated by an energy planning paradigm that involves only large centralized infrastructure and top-down technocratic expertise. Now, the recent innovations in distributed renewable energy is disrupting not only how electricity is generated and distributed, but also who plays the role of a planner and a producer. What does this innovation and this transition in energy mean for Nigeria's energy crisis? I believe that this technological innovation is inadvertently working as a catalyst for energy sovereignty across the globe, and that if efforts and resources are directed towards this path, there is a light at the end of the tunnel that is much closer for Nigerians than ever before. I already see this trend taking place in Lagos through the efforts of small entrepreneurial outfits. But like we learned today on the entrepreneurial panel, some of these outfits still lack the supporting regulatory and policy frameworks to thrive. But there is hope. Energy innovation is democratizing communities, and it is empowering them as planners and not just consumers. It is enabling Nigerians to independently address the debilitating gap in their energy supply and enabling Californians to decarbonize their energy consumption. This emerging paradigm not only adapts faster than the existing model that we have today, but it fosters the growing culture of energy sovereignty that I believe will ultimately lead to energy justice. This paradigm will lead to an energy future that is affordable, sustainable, and accessible for all and by all. Thank you.